Hello again. I wanted to give an update, like a pseudo 3-month review. I think I've had the bike 3 months or thereabouts. I'm doing about 40 miles a week, 4 days a week, primarily carting the kids backwards and forwards. And I just wanted to share my learnings, really, what I've learnt, what I like, don't like, etc. about the bike, and not so much the bike, but what I've learnt about e-bikes, and if I was to do this over again, and also things that I would consider, and I think it's important for other people to consider when they're looking at an e-bike. Overall, really happy with it. The maps that the Merida allow are basically just 3 maps, not including the off mode, and I've just done map 1 33%, map 2 66%, and map 3 100% power. There's no other tuning available in the map. I did query it on one of Merida's other videos, and they have said in one of those replies that the eSpeeder is geared for town riding, so there's a more emphasis on torque low down at start, which is perfect for what I need this bike for. But it's just, but those wasn't very clear, and I know of other bikes, there's loads of other map customization options, but for the Merida, the torque profile is fixed. It's just the amount of power you get for any given map. I stand by what I said in my other video about the bottle cages. That's pointless. That I did move because getting to the charging port is fiddly, and I wouldn't put a bottle cage there. Also, having that bottle cage there, you can't put an 800 milliliter bottle in, the taller one, because it makes it quite difficult to get out. So and I would also suggest getting side access mounts. I think Merida, what they should have just done is just stuck a pair in the middle and just done one bottle thing, so you get a full size bottle in, because that's redundant, that's pointless. That, don't know. I've gone and stuck an air tag in here. It just looks a little discreet then, popping it here. What else? One thing I would say is, depending on how you're riding it, I think you're going to go through brakes quite quickly, brake pads, just because of the extra weight. And bear in mind, I'm pulling this, so I've got this momentum of weight to stop. So I have changed out the pads from resin, and I think these are Theo and Noah, and I went ceramic to give it a try. I would have gone semi-sintered or sintered. Yes, a big improvement, bigger bite, and you don't have to pull on the lever so much. But as I said, I'm often pulling this with 2 toddlers in it. I did find the little adapter to move the light out from its odd thing here to a more standard action cam mount. I did have a plastic splitter that I managed to find on Amazon, which broke. I will be getting another one, but I would recommend getting the aluminium and pay a little bit more for the aluminium. So I used to have light here, another little action camera mount, and then I'd have a drift camera, which I'd use for a dash cam. By all means, you could swap it out for 2 lights or whatever you want, but that's something I wanted to do. What else have I changed or noticed? One of the issues I do have is I often get a drop chain on the front, and this wasn't so much of an issue, but it's really starting to get a bit annoying. What I think's happening is because with the e-bike motion, the sensors are on the back, there's always going to be a slight delay when the motor kicks in from the point you start pedaling and also stop. And I think what's happening is, and it always happens when I seem to come down the gears, is I think I change down and I've tried to compensate this with continuing pedaling and trying to keep the tension on the chain. But what I think's happening is and it's really imperceptible to work out exactly the right kind of circumstances it's happening. But what I think's happening is, because there's a delay and you've changed down a gear, there's obviously excess flex in the chain, and I think then it's just popping off the front. It always pops off in between the chain guard and the cog. It's just a real pain in the ass, to be honest. But it's easy to fit back on, etc. It always seems to be changing down. Don't know why it does it, but that's my theory, and I haven't quite worked out how to best compensate for that. Long term, I do worry about the cover, or the little rubber the thing that protrudes to stop the rubber thing falling off. I do find that a bit wandering. I've ridden this in the wet and it's fine. Again, not massively happy with the tyres when around corners when you're going fast. So some of the things I've learnt if I was going to do this again: gearing. And I think a lot of people don't talk about gearing, because I was talking about do I go mid gear, rear gear? And I think irrespective of the motor you get, you need to look at the gearing, because I was going to go, oh yeah, let's go mid gear, but you find they're all mountain bike geared, so the front cog is like 32 and this is a 44, so you've got to really think about the gearing and how you're going to ride your bike to get what you need. Because I'm doing more commuting hybrid, I wouldn't want a really small front cog. I want more of a bigger cog. We're not like the 50s, but 44 is fine. So that's one thing I would say to people to take into account. It's not just like the torque of the motor or things like that. It's look at the gearing, because you might have a really, really torquey motor, but if it's, let's call it MTB geared, you're not going to get the best use out of it, and you'd just be running out of gears to use it for a commuting point of view. However, I have noticed, and bear in mind, you know, things move on, there are a lot more hybrid bikes suddenly come out on the market in the last couple of months with a mid gear. So if I was going to do this all over again, I would go for the mid gear, because I would like the extra torque, because my use case is carrying that. That being said, when I'm not taking the trailer and everything else, the power this gives is fantastic. I think if you wanted in a comfortable ride without the trailer, map 2, so that's 66% power, you can go along really well. It comes down to what you want to get out of it. What else do I like or not like? I like the bike, don't get me wrong, I do like the bike. The drop chain's annoying. I've obviously just tailored it for the little bits and pieces. I've gone excess on reflectors and stuff, but because I'm taking the kids, I'm not taking any chances. Saddle is actually quite comfy. I still would swap these out. Oh, that was one of the other things I realised. I like the whole tubeless thing for tyres. And I've been looking around for like tubeless tyres and things like that. But one thing I've noticed is, because you've got the extra weight, and I'm not quite sure how the mountain bikes get away with it, but you definitely need a tyre that can handle the weight. I wouldn't think any old tubeless tyre, especially roadie tyre, would be able to handle the weight. So that's definitely something to have a look at for tyres. So if I was going to swap out the tyres, but I'd go for Swalby Marathon, but they do an e-bike version, and I presume that's just more reinforcement to handle the weight of the bike. Anything else? Yes, I still haven't sorted out this spacer thing for the love of trying it. I think what it is there's this gear cable. It's just super stiff, and I can't get it to swing around more centerline here. I've given up trying. It's at least the front end's not loose, not rocking. That's fine. Like the bike, haven't had any problems, but I just thought it'd be worthwhile just sharing those updates, sharing, you know, what I've learnt. And what I learnt isn't so much about this bike, but if I was going to go and pick an e-bike again, or for anyone else to pick an e-bike, look at the gearing in combination with the motor that you want, and have it best fit your style of riding. If you're going to do MTB and that's your primary riding, and you're not looking to use the bike as an efficient commute, yeah, go get mid-gear with MTB gearing. Well, that's one of the other things I've learned. So now I've put my cycle computer on. One of the things I've modified my cycling to be is more around consistent of trying to keep to 15 miles an hour, because that's really try to get the most out of the motor without kicking out. If you're going to go hybrid, I would go mid-gear, but I would look at the gearing. That's all I've got to add, really.